Amazing.
Well, I need to make sure I give a good delivery.
Hello everyone, once again, back in the Sky Lounge. And a couple of announcements before we start, actually just one. We don't have a lot of money for drinks, so if you want to bring your own things, probably on the long run it's going to be beneficial for everyone. But feel free to profit on whatever is there at the moment. We've been given a fund of £65, which are not going to last long. So yeah, but you know. Anyway, on more important things, today we have an incredible speaker, Jessie, which is going to tell us about something. I don't really get what this is about. Anyway, this special guest comes from Turks and Caicos. She flew into Bristol specially for this. So please welcome Jess.
Thank you everyone for coming. When I saw the social talks went up, I was like, oh my god, I never did one of those. I'd love to. And I was like, what's a topic that I can like talk about at length, like often and passionately? And I was like, the Björk Enya Fanfiction, and immediately wrote it. And then like a week later, I remembered I did it and was immediately filled with like intense remorse. I was like, is this a really, really bad idea? But I kind of committed a little bit by telling people about it. And also, you know, it is something that I feel very deeply about. It's something that I like to share a lot. I've told so many people about this fan fiction. I was vaguely concerned when I realized that maybe some academics are on the LSB social mailing list and they might never hire me. And I was also concerned because I was like, I've been gone for a year and a lot of people don't really know me and they're gonna meet me because I'm gonna read out loud of Björk Enya fan fiction. But then I decided that if you don't really know me and all that you know about me is that I'm deeply obsessed with the Björk Enya fan fiction, you can probably guess like some important and accurate like things about my personality. So I'm actually also fine with that. So before we begin the actual reading, which is why we're all here, and by the way, I would love to facilitate like a roundtable discussion afterwards. I've got some suggested discussion questions. If people have their own, I would love to hear them. You know, it's supposed to be a very communal thing. But I figured before we start, I should give an intro to these two incredible women. Especially Enya, because ever since I keep talking about this, I feel like a lot of people don't really know who she is. So, why you should care about Enya? The Renya songs. So, Enya was born Enya Paragini Brainon in Gweedore, County Donegal in 1961. She was born into a very musical family, and she actually joined her family band, Clonard, as a keyboardist/vocalist. But very soon after that, she decided to split off and went solo, so she joined the group's manager, Nicky Ryan, who became her producer and her own manager, and they started making a lot of really, really interesting music. A lot of it was super inspired by like Irish culture, Irish scenery, Irish folklore, stuff like that. They did this like really cool method where they kind of adopted Phil Spector's wall of sound method, but mostly just did loads and loads of layering of vocals over and over again. And they kind of did that because they were partly inspired by like Irish cathedrals, like hymnal music, stuff like that. So yeah, her debut album was released in 1987. And basically after this, she became kind of an unlikely famous person. So she, you know, her music is like quite new agey and a little bit weird, but she had some songs that ended up being pretty much chart toppers. So Orinoco Flow, we've probably all heard, that was massive. Only Time, used frequently, now in memes actually. She even composed a song for the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, The Fellowship, and she got an Oscar nomination for this. So she's basically extremely famous now. She's the top-selling Irish solo artist of all time, and the second ever best-selling Irish artist behind U2, which is pretty good. Also, real quick, Andy couldn't get in.
Andy is stuck in traffic, so he'll be 15 minutes.
Okay, cool, perfect, great. Sorry, I have a friend who was gonna come see this. Anyways, sorry, back to Enya. So yeah, so massively famous, so much so, this one's for the biologists in the audience. She got a species of fish named after her. This is Leporhinus enyae, and it's named after her because it's found in the Orinoco drainage basin, which is fun. I thought that was cute. So despite this intense level of fame, she's kind of gained some notoriety for being a bit of a recluse, probably because of the fame, to be honest. And, you know, she almost never gives interviews. She apparently checks her email once every few weeks. And she literally lives in a castle. in Dalkey, County Dublin. This is Manderley Castle, which she bought in 1997, named it after the castle from the Daphne du Maurier book. And she's just lived there and never really seems to come out. And I've walked past it a few times, I've waved, I've never had a response that's fair. But yeah, so bit of a recluse, despite her massive fame. What was I going to say next? Oh yeah, so at the time she definitely had quite a bit of clout. So for example, she was like quite a chart topper. She also, quite famously, her song Boadicea, which is my favorite Enya song, was sampled by the Fugees in their album The Score. So, you know, obviously people thought she was cool at the time. But latterly, she's become a little bit of like a meme. You know, people kind of think she's a bit naff, like her songs are kind of new agey and people are quick to write that off. She's like a little bit of a cultural punchline. And that saddens me. But something that I've noticed recently is that we are entering a new period which music scholars, i.e. me right now, and hopefully all of you after this, are calling the Renaissance. So basically, I started weirdly noticing Enya popping up a lot, and I think there's kind of an ongoing cultural reappraisal of her work. So first of all, there was a somewhat recent Guardian interview with Brandy, who talked about how, no, this is actually quite a while ago, but during the recording of her album Full Moon, she apparently listened to Enya constantly. And that was quite a while ago, but this interview is quite recent, and the interviewer made some kind of joke about Enya, and she was like, Enya's a joke to you? Which is another reason why Brandy is great. Also, apparently Nicki Minaj listened to Enya loads during the recording of the Pink Print. That was also like, what, I don't know, 8 years ago, Benicia? Yeah. So that's not really, I think these are the kind of small steps leading towards the Renaissance, but I think the Renaissance proper really begins in kind of 2018-ish. I personally first noticed it because FKA Twigs, in her most recent studio album and magnum opus, Magdalene, spoke about how the track Thousand Eyes was really heavily influenced by Enya. And I was like, Enya, what? And then I realized that there's actually a whole host of current music artists who are very cool, that are looking towards Enya and citing her as an influence. So for example, we also have Wise Blood, hugely inspired by Enya, talks about her a lot. Also, you can kind of hear it once you know that. We have Perfume Genius, we have Angel Olsen, Kelly Lee Owens, One-Tricks Point Never. A lot of people in the kind of like pop electronic region are all talking about how much Enya has inspired them. And I think that's great. And she also has been coming up, I think, more in the culture in a lot of TikToks. And every time I tried to click on this link, it didn't open. Yeah, it opens here instead of, hold on, let me see if I can. Every time it's impossible to embed a tweet in a PowerPoint, but I think this is kind of critical, so I'm gonna exit the slideshow. Is that gonna work for me? Maybe this is too much. No? Oh, is it worth it for the Twitter video? Oh no.
Oh.
Okay, we're good. I saw this and thought it had some Bristolian interest. So the tweet is called "Destroys Racist Statues While Enya Plays in the Background." And my speaker's shit, but maybe we all recognize that first one, guys? Maybe you didn't because I pressed play too late, but it was Edward Colston. Who can say
Cite this video or something.
No! It's on the not racist side.
Oh yeah, what a pose to go down.
Well, that's a big horse.
No, 94K likes and 2 million views. Oh, there he is again. Okay, no, stop.
Okay.
What? I think we all know, basically, that there's been a reappraisal, Enya is cool, and if you disagree, you're on the wrong side of history. So, Now our next protagonist, Björk, needs little introduction. To be honest, I'm pretty sure people here, if you know her, probably already think she's cool. Needs no defense from me. But again, for those who are maybe not aware, I thought I would quickly go through her bio. So I'm gonna murder this. So she was born Björk Women's Tutor. I looked that up earlier, and that's close enough. Unless there's some Icelandic people here, in which case I'm really sorry. In Reykjavik in 1965. She actually initially found fame as the lead vocalist of a kind of all art rock ironic pop group called the Sugar Cubes. Also went solo and released her first album debut in 1993 to huge critical acclaim. It was like a really weird album. No one expected it from her. It like mixed so many different genres and pretty much sealed her standing as like a massive innovator in the music scene. And since then, she's basically only ever like stunned critics. Like she's pretty critically revered. She's released, I don't actually know how many albums, maybe like 10-ish or so in the intervening decades. And every single one is like really experimental, really innovative, really interesting, just extremely cool. She's also very famous for her personality. Fran, you'll like this one. She's kind of made headlines a lot for just being really weird. So this is her at, I think, the Oscars ages ago, wearing a swan dress. She's also got this really fun video where she talks about the little people inside her TV that kind of made the rounds a while ago. And she has like really weird quotes like, "I am a fountain of blood in the shape of a girl." And football is a fertility festival. 11 sperm trying to get into the egg. I feel sorry for the goalkeeper. Which I think is pretty funny. And so she's kind of known not just for her music, but also for like her personality, I guess. In a way that like the media often tries to be like, oh, like, you know, kind of crazy, like wayfish, like all that crap. But she's just like deeply weird in like the best possible way. And you know, her brain is just operating on a completely different level to the rest of ours. And then also for the biologists in the crowd, she's a huge fan of biology and nature. She's a big climate activist. Her love of nature is what inspired this album, Biophilia, released about a decade ago, which was all about how much she's obsessed with nature and like all that stuff. And you know, I'm sure we all know the term biophilia, popularized by E.O. Wilson. And then she made a subsequent documentary about that, featuring David Attenborough, who also narrated parts of the album. And this is what he had to say about her. She's a very original person and said some very nice things. I mean, it's strange music, but it's original music. Which is like the most boring thing you could possibly say about Björk, but it's okay. We'll let him have it. But you know, he could have, well, anyways. But yeah, so I feel like, you know, that's something we can all relate to with Björk. She loves nature. She's actually also said that she gets turned on by nature in like a National Geographic porn kind of way. So that's fun. And also, again, as I said, Björk is in need of no renaissance. You know, she remains relevant and popular and interesting. She's recently collaborated with artists like Attica, Shy Girl, Sega Bodega. So she's basically very firmly in the zeitgeist and will never leave it. So both of these women are art pop queens, pretty much. They're both very important to me. I love them dearly. And I think that this background was necessary before we begin our actual reading, because I think it needs to be communicated why someone somewhere decided to put them together in this particular situation. So maybe you guys can see some similarities, I don't know. Okay, so this is the actual fan fiction in question. I did not write it. Fran asked me the other day if I wrote it. Obviously, if I wrote a Björk Enya fan fiction, I'm not going to read it in front of my whole department. That would be so weird. That's exactly what you would say. That is exactly what I would say. That is exactly what I would say. Well, maybe I read it.
So you've definitely written this one?
I have not, no, but now I realize I'm fighting a losing battle, so we'll continue. Basically, I found this a couple years ago when I was just, you know, on the internet surfing, as I do. And there's a, yeah, ignore the first page, go to this one. There's a website called Archive of Our Own, which is like a massive fan fiction website. And I was kind of intrigued, and you can click into like different names and see who's gotten loads written about them. So people like, I don't know, like Harry Potter characters always have like thousands of entries. And like, yeah, people like that Twilight has thousands of entries. And then there was a category for real people fiction, so people have written about actual, like, legitimate humans. And so there's a million for, like, BTS stars and all that stuff, and, like, a bunch of One Direction fan fiction. And I was scrolling, and it was just, like, Björk, one. And I was like, who the fuck? Read something about Björk. So I opened it and read it and became immediately obsessed with it and have now spoken to almost everyone I know about it. To make it a bit more fun though, and so that you don't have to just listen to my voice rage, some of you guys have highlighted bits. So everyone who has a highlighted bit, you're gonna read that paragraph, okay? Now obviously, content warning, there is sexual content. It's not terribly serious, but it is a bit sexual. If you're not comfortable reading it, just say my name and I'll read the paragraph. But otherwise, I'm gonna start us off, and then whoever has paragraph 2 highlighted can continue, and whoever has the last paragraph, you're fucked. But yeah, and then I also thought to get us going, I'm gonna play some mood music, which is not going to play. Come on. Okay. Bit of mood music. This is Bodicea. This is my favorite NA track. Okay. The bath was already drawn for her when she entered the room. Hello, Enya called out, but no one met her cry. Confused as she was, the warm bath beckoned. She slipped out of her robes and slid herself into the warm, frothy water. Closing her eyes, she slips into her own paradise as the salts soak away her worries from the day. Being Enya can be a trying existence, and she is glad to have such a relaxing surprise waiting for her.
The sound of soft footsteps startled away from her. As her eyes started open, she realized she wasn't alone. She tried to use the bubbles to her cover herself from a stranger in her vulnerable state. But as the panic crawled in her mind, she began to realize the long black hair that cascaded down over the stranger's naked body, the wide, hazel eyes, freckles. Was Björk? The two had never made acquaintance before. But here the fiery singer was, naked and unannounced in her bathroom. Enya couldn't help but let out a gasp. For the first time, she felt true free.
Nobody has the next bit? Would you like me to read it? Okay, I'm gonna read the next bit, unless someone jumps in. I'm here, Björk announced, swaying slightly from side to side. Dumbfounded, Enya let formality slide, and could only manage choking out, "But why?" as she searched for her breath and continued to bake herself as small as possible in the corner of the basin, covering herself with her hands.
I'm here to see you. I thought it was time that we met. With this, I took a step forward and proceeded to climb into the large marble tub alongside her host as their toes met in the cloudy water. Björk reached out her hand.
Enya reached her hand away behind herself instead, reaching for anything she could use to defend herself. Raising out of the water slightly, the foam and water dripped from her heaving breasts.
Björk put her rage written the wrong way, often used to people's excitement upon their first meeting. But Enya was quick to wrap her hands around the small candelabra and wipe around to wheel it in front of her straightened heel. Enya harnessed all of her will to speak in a booming voice. "Who let you in here?" she demanded.
I came in myself. The freckled nymph pouted across from her in the tub, confused by the outburst. She took the candelabra out of her hands and tossed it across the room. It clanged loudly across the stone floor. The noise made Enya jump, but Björk only slid in closer to her. That's no way to treat a guest, Björk said, speaking quietly as she leaned in closer to Enya's ear. Enya shivered, a mix of fear and arousal. She told herself it was a primal response to the breath on her ear and nothing more.
Enya shook the feeling off and gathered herself to try again. I don't understand why you're here, or what made you think it's okay to go into people's baths uninvited. She seethed, face stern, searching for anything in Björk's face to help her understand what was happening.
I felt your soul calling mine. Björk's nonchalance enraged Enya. I'm here because I need to be here. As Enya began to rebut, Björk touched her arm. Enya's mouth hung slack, searching for words in her suddenly blank mind. Her exasperated yelp gave way to a sigh as Björk leaned in and pressed their lips softly together. Enya's mind was filled with prompts to break away, to thrash, to yell, but even as these images raced through her head, she felt herself begin to kiss back. Despite everything, in her acknowledging this situation with confusion and fear, Björk's had such an otherworldly calming effect to be around. The world stood still as she searched for her Björk's lips for answers. As she parted her lips, Björk slid in closer to her, brushing a soft breast against hers as she slackened and stopped trying to cover herself.
She pulled away for a brief moment to catch her breath and said again, "Why?" Björk answered her with a kiss, eyes open, and Enya began to understand. Björk's hand slid from her shoulder down below the water to her breast. She kissed her hard and her thumb brushed against the Irish siren's pale pink nipple. Enya let a groan out into her mouth, bidding her onwards. Björk trailed her hands down Enya's ribs, across her taut stomach, and traced the line on her hip bone. Writhing under her grasp, Enya buried a hand in her lush locks as the lips played atop the water and pulled her in harder to the kiss.
Is that it? How are they going to leave it there?
Well, I wanted them to sit with that for a moment.
I'm not sure.
You know, you're never gonna read that for the first time again. So just take a second and just sit with that art.
I'm so confused. You never read fan fiction? I'm not reading a Harry Potter fan fiction at the moment. It's been recent, like
Okay, we've all sat. Now, I have some suggested discussion questions in the style of a book club. And I thought people could maybe have a read through, see if there was a topic they wanted to talk about. There's so much in this piece that I feel it would do it a disservice to just leave it there. Now, obviously, I don't know how much people are actually going to care about this, so if no one says anything, then we can just call it off. But I feel like there's some good topics here, guys. So, or if anyone has anything else they want to say about the piece, if there is something that struck you that isn't in one of my questions, that's totally fine. But yeah, maybe have a little read through and see if there's something you'd like to address with the group.
I think we should do a vote for who's going to, on point 5, we've got fuck, marry, kill. Put the hands up for kill, and then...
Okay, yeah. Okay,
At the
okay,
end,
okay.
like, no
At the
pressure,
end?
yeah.
Okay. No, that's good, that's good.
You could have done with a grammatical proofread.
Yeah, no, there was a lot in there that I was like,
Not the part.
Topic 2.
Yeah,
no, of course. I mean, I'm just a bit lost.
Really well
Oh, no,
done.
that's
I'd
not
be a
that
bit
one.
like,
Oh, yeah.
No, how? I feel to would have been more engaging.
It's so funny.
the bath not have
Bake
gotten cold?
herself.
How did
Oh,
you
yeah.
know when Enya was
Yeah, make yourself.
Make herself small.
Because that's not even grammar, that's just a spelling mistake.
Yeah, but it's a good
And
one.
now she's a little muffin. Yeah.
Question not kill any of them.
Jessie, I have a comment.
Yeah.
Isn't it a bit nuts that someone's taking a bath and a stranger just turns up naked and gets in with them?
Well, no.
Have you not read much fan fiction?
It's like the
A person in
basis.
their own house gets into a bath,
I
they
don't mean-
haven't run, and there's nobody else
I
in
don't
the
mean
house.
weird as in like it doesn't work. I mean sexually assaulty.
Yeah,
That's this
okay.
question about
Yeah.
if we tried to make this today, we would get cancelled by the world.
And also poorly written by
No, yes, okay, no, absolutely. Where's the consent here? You know,
Yeah.
she didn't ask for the bath to be run.
Exactly.
You know, that's breaking and entering. She has a little castle. Like she always seems trying to get people to come in. Sorry, Costa. Yes.
Do you think it was written by a man or a woman?
Oh my God, such a good question. I've been dying to know the answer to this. I obviously think woman, but that's because I'm a lesbian. I'm wondering if it's like a weird man sexual fantasy, but I feel like these two, particularly Enya, who was never really a sex symbol, like appeals more to queer women than to men. But maybe I'm wrong.
And I think the language is like more written by a woman.
Okay, why?
Marcus.
There are more than 10 different words to clearly a woman.
Yeah.
And the amount of talking that they do.
Oh my god.
I think if they wouldn't be doing the talking.
Go off, sister, go off.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah.
I think the fact that at the end, Callum said, "Is that it?" tells you enough about it.
So actually,
The fact that they had the restraint to leave it there.
Yeah, because things like I felt your soul calling mine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe maybe somewhere out there is the second half of the text waiting to be found.
Someone tried.
Scratch the whole internet.
I checked it. It's not on this. Weirdly, the author has like one other. They have like one other fan fiction that's about something. I can't remember what it is, but something completely different. I was like, God, like you contain multitudes. I can't remember what it was, but it was not as cool as Enya and Björk. I do think that the person was probably born in 1992. So that's also fun because that makes them what, like 30-ish? Well, they wrote this when they were 25. So they were 25. Oh, 23. Yeah, 23. So 23-year-olds wrote this fan fiction.
Not exactly young.
No, yeah.
K. McLean.
Why do you
Maybe.
think they're born in 92?
That's young.
Because their
Catherine?
username is
Yeah, but not like
92.
60.
K stands for.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm getting a Kathleen.
do we think this is a feminist piece? That one always gets rinsed at book clubs. Anybody? Any thoughts?
Well, it passes the Bechdel test.
It does pass the Bechdel test. Yes. Okay, great.
There
It's
are
like
no
kind of
men
like
in
porn.
There's literally not a single man.
Like
No
novels.
man.
No.
Novels or
Yeah, I guess like
Okay.
erotica. Erotica.
Yeah, it's like adding to the whole
That's erotica.
like catalogue of literature that's just about women. So
Just about women, or also just about women having sex, though? No.
Yes.
That kind of links into question number 1, which is about how we use the words like nymph and siren. Yeah, that's a little bit harmful, isn't it?
You know that TV show test where like they sort of evaluate
that's what we were just
based
saying.
on
The
sex?
Bechdel test.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
me
Does
too.
it pass
It
that?
does. It does pass that.
But it is just about sex. It can.
Well, so there have been like a variation to the Bechdel test. So the very basic form is: are there two women? Do they have names? And do they talk to each other about something that's not a man? But there are people who have put forward things like, oh, but it doesn't count if maybe they're not talking about a man, but they're just sexualized or something like that. So it passes the OG Bechdel test, but potentially the more like elaborate variations of the Bechdel test, not quite. Yes, Harry.
Have you tried asking the AI, was it ChatGPT, whatever it's called, to recreate a fan fiction?
Yes!
Oh my god!
Do that now.
Oh my
Do it now,
god!
yes.
It's time to complete it.
You can do it now.
But you have to have an account with ChatGPT.
Does anyone have an
Yeah.
I know, I think you can just jump in. Yeah,
I think you can. I think you can.
Okay, maybe for next talk, if someone wants to recreate a decent version of how the story could
We're
continue.
gonna put a pin in it because I envision it's gonna be a lot of me standing here typing stuff awkwardly for a while. But 100% a good follow-up. Yes. Okay.
I am now
okay.
wondering if I'm handwritten because it has the words heaving breath.
Right? Yeah, that was my big tell. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
It's the kind of shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, brushed against the Irish siren's pale pink nipple seems a bit.
I don't know, that's not necessarily written by a man, but heaving breasts.
Heaving breasts
Definitely
is such a
some-
man's
Yeah.
phrase, isn't it? Yeah. It's hard to extricate that.
Have you contact with Björk?
No, you know, I've thought about it so many times.
Oh my god, you should.
I've sent this fanfic to so many people that I've been like, they have
Thanks
no
for
idea
the lyrics.
how much this has impacted me in my life. But
Like
also,
this.
I don't want to because they have done me such a
This is a very
service,
good
but
service
at
on
bottom
both
I'm
the
kind
expansion
of
and
making
the-
fun of it. Like, you know, thin-minded me making fun of it and like loving it, but also I'm a little bit making fun of it. So I kind of don't want to contact them because like the fact that I'm reading it to a large group of people from my department kind of implies.
Definitely tell them.
You think I should
Yeah.
tell
Yeah,
them?
that's
Tell them this was
Yeah.
great and discuss the university.
Okay,
What about
yeah.
you do a social talk round 2 after you talk with this person and
The
ask
live-
the
I'm gonna
AI?
zoom it in conversation with.
Whoa! With the blurred face.
Just to know if they are
Also, introduction to my friend Andy Quitmar, who's giving a talk on Thursday, guys. Andy missed it, but we're still doing the discussion if you have any thoughts.